Many people have reported having problems with Dell displays, and what they're seeing is a white padlock on a blue background, and the padlock flashes from locked to unlocked about every 15 seconds, and they've been unable to get rid of it. I had this problem on mine. It's a Dell 17-inch. It's an E173FP, but I'm sure it'll be much the same in many others. And I've investigated it and found out what the problem was with my display, and thought I would let others know. And the problem in my case was a faulty push button switch. If you look at the bottom right hand corner of the display, there are 4 little buttons. You probably never touch them. The right hand one is to turn power on and off, and the one on the left is the one of interest, and that's a button that gets you into the display setting menu. And the phenomenon is, it's as if that button was continually pressed. What I'm going to do first of all is to demonstrate that if you press that button in, you will indeed get the same problem, and it will appear. So this is the button I'm talking about here, and I'm just going to focus the display into the middle of the screen, and then I'm going to press that button. And I'm going to hold the button in, and what you will see first of all is you get the correct menu. But if you keep on holding it in, a padlock will suddenly appear, and it takes 15 seconds for it to appear. There it goes, there's the padlock, and then 15 seconds later the padlock will open. And then if you keep the button pressed down, lo and behold, 15 seconds later the padlock will close again. I'm going to let go of the button now. So what's happening is that there is a fault inside the button that makes it look as if the button is being pressed all the time. What that means is we need to replace the button. That seems to be the only solution. And what I'm going to do is to try to show you that you can do that, and you don't need to be an electronics genius in order to do it. Okay, well, the first step is obviously to take all the leads off. They just simply unplug from underneath. The mains lead there, the display lead over the other side. The next thing we do is to remove the stand, and the stand is merely held on with 4 screws. Having unscrewed them, you just simply lift up the bottom of the stand and lift it out. The next step is to remove the black plastic backing to the display. This is probably the most stressful part of the whole operation. The back is held on with plastic clips. There are 5 clips along the bottom edge, 5 along the top edge, 4 along each side. The first clip is about 1 inch in from either side, and the others are more or less equally spaced along the edge. What I've found the most useful tool for getting this off is an oak knife. What you do is to tuck the knife in and tuck it under the edge of the backing, and then lever it out, and then keep that pressure on. Go to here, tuck it in under the edge, lever it out. Go to here, tuck it in under the edge, lever it out, under the edge, lever it out, under the edge, lever it out. So there you are. I've undone the 5 clips, I beg your pardon, along the bottom edge. We then turn it over and do the same operation along the other 3 edges. Okay, once you've levered off all the edges, then the back panel, lay it down flat, the back panel simply lifts off. And then you can see there's a little printed circuit board down here. See if I can zoom in. This little printed circuit board holds all of the push buttons, and it connects in with a connector that is just around the back here. This connector here, and that connector simply pulls out. So here we are, we've pulled out the connector, and now what we want to do is to remove this little printed circuit card. Now at the outer edge of the printed circuit card there's a little plastic clip again, and what you have to do is to lever that out of the way and at the same time pull that end of the card up, so that unlatches it, and then slide it out this direction. Okay, I've pulled the card out and turned it over, and here you can see the 4 push buttons. This is the one for the on-off and the light that goes beside it, and then there are 3 more. This one here is the menu one, and in my case this is the one that failed. Now you've got a couple of options here. The push buttons are soldered in with 4 solder joints. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's quite difficult to get out unless you know what you're doing. So you've got one option, which is simply to cut through the 2 connections at the top end here. Cut those through, fold this back out of the way. What it will mean is that your menu button will no longer operate, but you probably never use it anyway. If you want to take the switches out and replace them, and by the way, I just went on the internet and Googled to find some very similar switches. You can either use a solder sucker, which will remove the solder as you go, or if you clip all 4 legs off before you start, you can then unsolder 1 leg at a time and make a fairly clean job. Then if you can get a replacement for these, replace one, solder it back in, make sure that you've got them at the same level as all the others. Job done. Now all we have to do is put it back together again. And that's a very quick operation. So this part simply goes in. There's a little hole here at one end and a little tag that goes in there. Push it in, click, that's done. Then reinsert the connector, clip the back on, you just push the back on, 4 screws, job done. So that's a Dell E173FP, how to fix a problem if you've got a flashing padlock.